You know what? It's interesting. I lost everything, my eyebrows, my eyelashes, my hair. So thank God I had worked on myself and had the, you know, bravery and the audacity to keep going.
I mean, so much of our identity is in our looks, whether it's, the things we're known for.
I
What
mean, when
helped you?
people used to say, don't worry, it'll grow back. I'm like, don't say that
Right.
because I'm allowed to hold both things. I'm allowed to want to be healthy and not have
Mhm.
cancer and not die. And I'm also allowed to want to look like myself and have my hair. I'm allowed
Mhm.
to have both. You're
Mhm.
allowed to love somebody and think that they're amazing and fun and all those things.
Mhm.
And also they not be right for you. You can hold opposing feelings at the same time. And it happens all the time. And that's
Mhm.
okay. And so I will never say it'll grow back.
Wow. What an amazing conversation that we just had with Jill Martin. Now, you got a little taste of the hell of a year that she has been through, cancer and a public divorce, and her journey and the lessons that she can teach all of us on how to not just deal with it ourselves, whatever trauma we might be going through, but how to help other people who are going through that trauma. I just found it incredibly uplifting.
Yeah, the generous spirit to get on with us and be as raw as she was and to feel comfortable without makeup, in her pajamas, in her Sherpa, that, one of her pieces of her product line. She's just this real person who was anxious to do this with us so that she could help others. And it comes out, and you heard it in that first clip, and you'll hear it throughout this podcast. It's worth a listen for sure. She's so much more than that, though. She's had a hell of a year, to your point, but she's had a hell of a career too. She's an entrepreneur. She's won Emmys. She's this TV personality a lot of people know from the Today Show. But also, she's been around on QVC for quite a while. She's an entrepreneur who has her own product lines and does that to support her breast health awareness charity. So that's an important piece that she's doing. She's also with sports broadcasting with the Knicks. She's won some Emmys with that. And of course, she knows you through University of Michigan. So she's a Michigan girl who you've wanted me to meet her. And I did. And she's so much more than I thought she could ever be because I knew her professional background, but I didn't know she was just this great girlfriend who was going to throw it all out on the table for us and help our listeners learn a little bit of something too.
She is an
Mhm.
exemplar. We can all take a page from her book and let's see if we can help a whole ton of people.
It's great. Let's take a listen.
Jill, so delighted that you agreed to be on our Be the Sun, Not the Salt podcast.
Oh, honored to be asked. Are
I
you
love
crazy?
that. So, Connie, um, I know Jill and just met Jill this year, but I want you to get to know her. So, we're going to talk about you, your journey, your life, your lessons, and how we can help a ton of people. I was sharing this morning on an email that your platform is so magnificent in terms of how many people you can help. So, I'll stop talking.
It's always the hard part, right? Jill, it is such a pleasure to meet you because Harry has been talking about you since he met you.
So nice. We
And I
share wonderful mutual friends.
I
So
know that. And I think that that's part of why the conversations come up so many times, but mostly it's because he just feels like you emanate this whole be the sun, not the salt philosophy. And I think that's why it was so important for us to make the time to meet with you. But for our listeners, Jill Martin's just a badass. This is my first time meeting you, but I have read enough and watched enough to know. I think I knew you from the Today Show. I know that you're on QVC. I knew about the Sherpas because, and we'll talk more about those, but Harry has told me about those. But I didn't know about your real big, deep rooted New York Knicks connection. So that's part of what I think makes you such a badass is that you're this beauty fashion expert and you're a sports girl and you're on the Today Show. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be a great chat. So
oh, thank you. Well, I appreciate that. I'm only crying because when someone says, like a beauty or a badass, it took a lot of work this
Mhm.
year to get to that. So I take that compliment very seriously.
Well, and you should. And our listeners, anyone that's not watching on YouTube won't see how beautiful you look too. So smashing. I always worry about getting a little farther from the camera. You're all close up. You look amazing.
No, I
So
have no make. This is my day off. I have no makeup on and, really just the essence of what the book is sort of how I live my life.
Mhm.
And so I thought I will be in my pajamas and be as authentic as I am. So let me grab water actually. So I could hear you though. Keep going. This is like
Go.
how I roll.
I love this. This is Podcast on the Run with Jill Martin. I
Yeah,
love
this
it.
is like I'll bring over my stuffed animal too, so you can see how I roll in my hotel room.
That's perfect. Well,
Yeah.
and to do this for us, and with us on your day off is even more special for us. So you bring your little snuggly.
Yeah.
Jill's got a snuggly. She's got her Sherpa on, and we'll talk about those. And now she's got a
He's
glass of water.
famous. He was just named to Oprah's favorite thing.
He was?
Yeah.
So tell us, who is he then?
So this is my elephant buddy, and they're
Okay.
my part of my line, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yep.
And I create things that bring happiness and coziness into your life.
Mhm.
And I made my animal buddies with a pillow company. So their belly is a pillow, and it's called the best binge watching buddy in the world. He comes with a gift birth certificate, and he's mismatched just to sort of represent, the imperfections in all of us, perfectly imperfect. And so it's used as decor. I mean, people keep them on their beds and, on all over, and Oprah picked them as her favorite things. Um, I think not only because how cute they are, but energetically, I think it represents a lot of what I'm about. So
Would you articulate that beautiful sentence energetically what I'm about?
I always was a person who like liked giving more than getting, but when I was giving cancer, I felt like God gave me cancer because I was supposed to be here to save not only my family, but other people from something that could have been avoided. And so, I believe that, which is the essence of your book, you know, when something bad happens to someone, a lot of times they are then negative to somebody else, and then that person's negative to the next person, and then you sort of spread negative energy. And so I try to be my best in my worst times
Mhm.
because I believe that if I don't do that, then I'm contributing to what I believe is just, what's going on in the world right now. So I create things and, live my life 100%, you know, of what I'm about. Like I created these pajamas, I sleep in them, the Sherpa I wear every day because I do. Like the stuffed animal travels with me. I mean, what adult travels with the stuffed animal? I have lights here because I did QVC from the room.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so, I'm like a traveling roadshow, but I do believe that the more people who spread kindness and who, you're either born with it and that's your essence of what you do, or you need to be taught that it's not okay to not be any way else, is what I try to represent and work at every day.
No, have you always been that way? Is that something that from, being a child, or when did that start to creep into your life?
I think I was always like that, much, much more in my adult life. I think I was more selfish when I was younger. I was like a bratty kid, and you know, my mom catered to me, and my dad was very strict. We lived by a very straight moral compass, and so we always show up. We were taught we're nice to everybody. We don't live above our means, although I didn't always live by that. But my parents represent everything that I think is important and right. Like I no longer look at certain things as being subjective. I look at them as being objective. And so
Mhm.
while somebody might say to me, that's your opinion, to me, it's factual because
Mhm.
I believe that there are certain qualities that it's not okay. It's a double negative, but I
Yeah.
don't think kindness is not a choice to me.
Say what say more about that?
I mean, I just feel like life is so hard as it is that, there were so many people that came up to me after I went through breast cancer publicly, and I'm still going through it,
Mhm.
and said to me, because you shared blank, whether it's they got tested and they were able to get the preventive surgery, or they, you know, somebody came up to me that I work with and said, I had what you had. And I said, when? And she said, last year. And she's somebody who like opens the door and, guards us, part of our security team. And I thought to myself, like, how did she go through this without other people having the empathy for her that they had? I did it publicly, so people said, was it hard? It was actually easier because nobody was like, everyone was going to be nice to me knowing I was
Right.
going through cancer. But a lot of people don't know that about what people are going through. And
Mhm.
so I look at people now with just tremendous empathy. And I think everybody needs to do that. And so part of my message is, everybody's going through something, especially now with what's going on in the world. And that's painful.
It sure is. Let's jump into that. I guess since you brought it up, I did see the broadcast with your friend Melissa. And so I'd love to talk a little bit about that. We talked about it. Well, I worked for Ford Motor Company for a long time. We had a huge breast health awareness program called Warriors in Pink, and you're a true warrior. And I think part of that, the warrior spirit, is that ability to be good, even though you're going through, and you want to emanate and you want to, work toward for others. And you're doing that, and you're being so public and open about it, which, I think for some people would be really hard, but you seem to be embracing it and making it a mission of yours.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, I don't know why it happened. Like, find, I can't find the purpose of that unless I make it that totally.
Mhm. Yeah, and your authentic self comes through in just even the way you're feeling it now. And for those that haven't seen it, Melissa was Jill's college roommate, and I saw the broadcast where she came on in today's show because of what Jill went through. She went through and had the BRCA test done, and even though she knew that her mother's side was clear, her mom had come back negative, but she got in honor of her friend, she should go do it anyway. And guess what? She came back positive. So in that one moment, you made a huge difference to someone very close to you. And we will never know exponentially how many people that day.
I mean, every day. For Melissa, they
Mhm.
text me every morning, "Thank you for saving my life." I mean, if you
Mhm.
have this gene that I had and it wasn't on my mother's side, it was on my father's side, you have a 60 to 90% chance of getting breast cancer. I mean, that is not a number, especially working in sports that you play around with. And so because of me, she found out she had it on her dad's side also. And
Mhm.
she um and she had the preventive surgery and she has two young daughters and her husband, but there's a lot of stories like that. But if just for that one person, I would
Mhm.
have done it again. I mean,
Mhm.
and it was horrible. So I really do believe that. And so, in life now, in general, my bar is much higher,
Mhm.
for tolerating things and for um having whomever is in my life. It's very
Mhm.
specific and very curated.
But I think that
Ooh,
platform alone, and no, sorry, Harry, I didn't as a woman know as involved as I've been in breast health awareness I've only been asked if I have breast health issues on my mother's side. I've never been asked about my father's side. So I think that listening to this, everyone should hear that very clearly, because I think from a medical profession standpoint, that might be a gap we have.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm being honored Monday night at Mount Sinai, and I didn't want to do it, and because I don't think cancer wants you to be honored. But
Honored.
my surgeon, said to me after I said no, she said, the money goes to me for research, and so I'm doing it. Which, but part of my message is I sat in a conference in a ballroom for a
Mhm.
BRCA event for my friend Gary, who had breast cancer, a man.
Mhm.
And I sat there and I did not get tested on my father's side, even though everyone was telling the story. So
Mhm.
that is my Monday night. My speech is very short and sweet, is that everyone in this room, if you have not just breast cancer, but a lot of cancer in your family, whether it be prostate or pancreatic, or ask your doctor if genetic testing is appropriate, because that that there is nobody who wants to go through
Mhm.
people say, I don't want to know. Like, trust me, you want to know.
Mhm.
You do not
Mhm.
want to go through cancer. You do not want to go through chemotherapy. I mean, you just don't. And I was lucky. I mean, my prognosis, although I'm under construction and uh, just a different version of what I was before,
Mhm.
I mean, I think I look pretty, but I don't look like me. I mean, I had this long Farrah Fawcett hair that I lost. I was a totally
Mm.
different, like, looking person. So
Yeah.
this girl's great, but I mean, it's just a different thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, if I always just say, like, if anybody can do anything for me when they ask, it's like, just call your doctor and get tested.
Mhm.
The idea of watching someone else go through this, it is the most painful thing to me.
I'm sure.
The purpose of this podcast, the purpose of our meeting, our fortuitous meeting, is so that we can help way more people because of our gifts and the experiences that we've
Mhm.
had. I mean, Jill, I have cancer. My cancer is bladder cancer. My niece had the BRCA gene and the surgery. My niece is a
I didn't know that.
Mhm. Um, and your story is so beautiful for all the people that you've already helped, that this will continue to help, and that you will continue to show people what you didn't know, but now
Mhm.
you know, and your life is better for it. What I love more than anything about this life and this work and what we get to do is this,
Mhm.
"Wow, I didn't know this. Now I know this. Now I got to tell the world."
Right.
This business a bit about being deliberately kind and deliberately intentional, and the word you use, curating the company that you keep. We talk about that. You and
Mhm.
I know that. We are very deliberate in the company that we keep. Your sentence, "Be my best during my worst." Mic drop. And I want to do that for myself and my loved ones forever. And I hope and wish that anyone who listens to this says, more of that. That's today's chapter.
Mhm.
Let's do this some more, Jill. And for those who can't watch us, Jill's been weeping through this interview. For those that don't, who can't see
Yeah.
her, and that ain't stopping you from articulating this beautiful, beautiful, r- reiterating message.
Thank you.
But again, just tell us a little bit about your story for the people who don't
Mhm.
know you and your whole story, including what you went through beyond.
Because you've always been a badass. Like there's this thing that leads up to it. You've always been this busy thing, and now it's just like the world is seeing more of you now.
But difficulty, tragedy,
Mhm.
cancers, surgery, and public divorce is not an easy journey. And I want people who are listening to go, if she can do it, I can do it.
Right. Um, no, I mean, I had like a very lucky, blessed 48 years. Both my parents are healthy. My mom went through TCIS. Um, we didn't know I had the gene. My dad has the gene. We didn't know. My brother has the gene. I thank God that it happened to me, that I had, to um endure this because I could not have watched them.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I'm not, I was never, listen, there's always smarter, there's always prettier, there's always richer, there's always tanner, like there's always everything. But I was always the hardest working. And so I, you know, kicked butt for 48 years and I developed an amazing business. I worked for the Miami Heat. I worked for CBS Miami. I was a sports anchor. I worked for the Today Show. I, at the same time, worked at QVC and built a huge lifestyle brand there. Um, and then I was building my own D2C brand. And then I met the love of my life. And then we broke up and then we get back together again. And then, I built this, um, new sort of sector on the Today Show, which, involved network TV and shopping and not having frustration for the consumer. She sees something she likes on the air and she's able to buy it. And so that to me is not about making network TV shoppable. It's about creating less friction for the viewer. If I tell you the best red lipstick is blank and you don't know where to buy it, that's a very frustrating experience.
Mhm.
So I'm all about like a frictionless experience. Um, and I say that, in general, like I don't, I, my communication skills are very direct. Like, it's either, there's no confusion with
Mhm.
anyone in my life. So yeah, so then on June 20th, I got a call that I was BRCA positive and, I thought my life was going to change and I had to get everything removed and I have never had kids. And so, my husband at the time was very supportive, and we went in to get the preventive surgery, and they found aggressive breast cancer because I went in to get MRI for the preventive surgery. And um and then it's been a blur since then.
A year of a blur,
Well,
more than
I
a
got to
year.
tell you, the blur that it's been, and I met you this past year for the first time. I didn't know any of this story at all. All I knew is that our mutual friend, who we both love and think is a good soul, said, "You got to meet my friend Jill." And what I heard was, "Oh, Jill liked the book. She's on the Today Show. I met you in Ann Arbor at the game." And what a delightful human being you are. I didn't know
Thank
any of this stuff. And the vibe, I was telling somebody that the vibe about you, what we love about our guests on this podcast is these are exemplars. You are an exemplar. You're a human being that we want to aspire to be like.
thank
Qualities of kindness and authenticity and vulnerability and
thank you.
and generosity. And I'm not done. And and
All
and
those good
those
things.
and all those good things for the pure motive, that your motive is as pure as driven snow. You want to do good and help people and bring more light into the world. And we are on your team and part of that. And
I
we'll
know you
keep.
are. So yeah, I feel like I'm a little all over the place, but that's like a wrap up. I mean, I really had a beautiful 48 years of a life that I thought is what it should be. And then I got thrown this. In some ways, it's so, it's in many ways, it's more beautiful. I mean, I like who I am better now. Um, I got divorced over the summer and I started dating again, and it didn't feel right. And I would have, like, in my past life, kept going, I
Mhm.
would have made an excuse. I was like, you know what? This just like, you're awesome. This just like doesn't work for me. Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't feel right. And it was a very powerful conversation for me.
I
It was
love that. For those that are listening, think about the lesson there. We like to spread lessons for ourselves and for others. And if it doesn't feel right, it ain't right. If people aren't good company for you and all that that means, in other words, they bring out the best in you and you feel great around them and you want to be around them and they're like water on your soil or sun on your leaves, then spend more time with them. You are that, Russ. If people are not good company for you, check please. Bye
right.
bye. No
But
hard
not that
feelings.
there's anything wrong with that. I spoke to a very famous doctor the other day who's so, like, just, I never see an insecurity. And he was telling me that his ex girlfriend from high school reached out. He's probably in his late 60s or early 70s. She had something wrong and she reached out to him. And he said she still made me feel like bad about myself, like
Oh,
even in just the conversation.
really?
And I thought that was so interesting. And not that this situation, that's not what this was, but I thought that was so interesting. Like, there are just some people who, and it's pheromones. I mean, as a
Mhm.
doctor more than me, like, right. I mean, they bring
It's
out the,
Yep.
the
Good.
light in you. And then some people just like give you a stomach ache.
And that's
Yep.
but understanding that with no judgment, you need to be mindful of those people so that you walk away very, very thoughtfully. And you're not wrong to saying, you know what? I don't know why I feel icky around him or her, but I do. Well, good that you should listen to that. That story is for those who are listening to us go, you know what? You've just given me permission to say, I don't want to hang out with you.
I read a quote that said, like, if you get on the train and you get off the train as soon as you know you went on the wrong train, because if you keep going, it's going to take longer and be more expensive to get back. Because
Exactly.
I've seen this movie before, I
Mhm.
know what it looks like. And it's like, I don't
You
want to
don't
be
need
in it
it.
anymore.
You don't need it. Yeah. Here you always say what you mean what you say, just don't say it mean. So it's okay to say it. We don't need to be mean to do that.
That's right.
Yeah, and get off the train. We have another little baby chapter. Do the next right thing. It's okay to make a boo-boo. That was realize you stepped in it, or you did
Mhm.
something. It's like, okay, I know what to do. I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna keep digging. I'm not gonna keep doing this.
I
What
mean,
I love that we get
it's
to learn
very
this.
powerful. It's
I know.
very, and it's recent. And so that, like, is another, um, where I'm like, wow, I'm proud of myself.
So
I,
that last sentence, I'm proud of myself. I share with Connie and our producer Ashley all the time. Oh, I'm so proud of myself. I just learned something that I should have known. And I'm 70. And wow, I can't believe I just learned this. I say to my wife every morning now, and I never did this before, married 44 years, is there anything that you need for me to do for you today? Now, how come I never did that before? I don't know, but I figured it out. So I love,
That's like major. Harry, how do you feel?
oh, right now, people say when they know that I have cancer, they always say, "How you doing? You look good. How you doing?"
Yeah.
I feel like $1,000,000. Right now, the truth is, I think I'm 2 years out of my last cancer occurrence. It reoccurred, so that's always a uh-oh. So I'm 2 years out, but I feel like $1,000,000. But because I right now feel like $1,000,000, and I, like you, know that life is short, take care of yourself, and I don't take any of this for granted. Right now, I feel great, and it might change, but until that changes, I'm going to keep doing this with the people like you for as long as I can so that we can keep doing this.
In the
I feel
message of
great.
diligence, like you stayed
Yeah.
very diligent
Oh,
about
yeah.
it. You rest on your laurels and obviously with health. And I'm a little sensitive to because obviously it's a topic I've been involved in. And I a little PSA important. Ashley kind of tagged me on this. I want to make sure we get it out. You mentioned the MRI that diagnosed the cancer.
My mammogram was clean the day,
That's what I'm,
and my sonogram, they missed it.
yep. See that?
And
And that's a
that's
message I
another
want.
thing. And like,
Yeah.
no test is perfect. A
Hmm.
mammogram is the best test
Hmm.
we have to just monitor.
Right.
But it's like something like, and I'm not a doctor, but it's something like 87%. And then a sonogram is 93%. Like I've
Hmm.
never been at the 7%,
Hmm.
but I was, and some
Hmm.
people are. And, it's the day I was diagnosed, my mammogram was clean. I had had a sonogram in January, I knew I was high risk. My
Hmm.
grandmother had died of breast cancer. My mother had breast cancer. We looked just the same hands. I mean,
Hmm.
so I knew the day was coming. I mean, I don't live like that, but I wasn't surprised. It
Hmm.
wasn't like I was
So
surprised that day because I just had to clean
Yeah.
everything.
I got to tell you, Jill, I got a good cancer in that it's not one that supposedly you die from, you die with. You just have to get checked every whatever they tell you. But more importantly, it's what you have been sharing, which is it changes your perspective about life. Thank goodness.
Mhm.
Right.
And that,
Thank goodness.
and
You
the
were
goodness,
diagnosed, Harry. Remember, we were getting ready to publish this little puppy, our little book I was just holding up. And it was literally we were talking about how do we want to launch it? Do we want to get into some PR? And that's when you told me. So
yeah.
it did, and it changed. You did say, I feel like this is a message like, hello, let's remember what's important here.
Totally. The clarity, Jill, of our lives now in terms of, I didn't know this, but I know it now. That's what we want to give more people without having to get cancer. Guys, we're not saying like,
Mhm.
you
Right.
really should get cancer to get this
So,
message. You
right.
don't need to get cancer to get the message, to be kind and to curate your good company and to be deliberate in how you behave. I mean, the way you said to be your best during your worst. How come we can do that right now? Let's offer to the world, hey guys, this is the way to live.
Right. Right. I think it's very hard to have that without going through it, unfortunately.
You know.
Mhm.
So,
So
but no, I mean, I had this woman who, I spend a lot of my day speaking to people who are like a few months behind me, or people call and say, can you, so this woman called me, and they were deciding if she needed chemo. And I said, um, and I prayed for her that she didn't, because the chemo is what I think about every day. Every cancer is terrible. I'm not downplaying anything, but that's the thing that was like a lot for me. So she went for two opinions, and I sent her to my doctor at Mount Sinai and for a third opinion. And they realized she didn't need chemo. And so she got cancer and had to do surgery and radiation, but not chemo. And she called me like, I dodged a bullet. Thank you so much. Meaning, even though she got cancer, like
Mhm.
she realized that there's no good cancer, but if you could avoid the things that are, um, anything in within the process, it's all earth shattering. So,
Mhm.
um, so I think, yeah, I mean, I wish that were so, Harry. I wish, you know, but everyone's not built like that. And I don't, I guess I don't put that on everybody. Like I see the silver lining and sparkles and bubble in every situation, and not everyone could do that. And so I guess it's more about, I wish everyone were just happier. Like I just wish the world in general, I feel like people are like running and unhappy and not concentrating on whatever that moment is. I'm
Mhm.
in this podcast. I don't have my phone. I'm in it. I'm enjoying the conversation. And then that's it. And then I'll go do the next thing. But it's not the constant run. And I think that's what makes people anxious and sad.
Mhm. But you said that being kind and being grateful makes you feel better during cancer. I think the message I hear for people who don't have cancer, guess what it could do for you? I mean, if it can get you through a day of chemo, it could get you through just your average hard day. And I think that's the message all of us would take away from your stability through this whole disease
Uh,
of fight, 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 and be kind at the same time. I love
Yes.
sparkle too, by the way. You said we always say silver lining, but you said bubbles and sparkles. I like
oh, I
that.
mean, I did today because I was on a call right before you, but I put sparkles on every day.
Do you? I love that.
Like I just like, if I could travel with a face painter, I would, like I have like these sparkles that I had a pajama party for this cover I did. And I always have a face painter and they just do
Mhm.
something pretty. It's like, who doesn't want sparkle?
Who doesn't love sparkles? Harry, you need some
Well,
sparkles.
you mean sparkles on my face, like
Yeah.
little things, guys? If you think I should put sparkles on, I'll do it. But it's not something I've ever done before. That doesn't mean I won't. One of the things that I experienced when I went through it during the chemo and all that, all the processes, I won't articulate them, um, that I could be the sun for all the people that I was around. It was so clarifying. It's what you're like. I can be kind to the nurses. I can be kind to the doctors. I can be kind to the receptionist. I can be more kind than I already am. I can pay attention to be an uplifting soul. I can do that no matter what. The cool part about this is it's purposeful. When you see you wish people were more happy, I really feel like this metaphor is the secret to life. No matter what and where you are, you can hold the door. You can say the sweet, kind word. You can chill your jets. You can say, you know what, it doesn't matter. We spent a half an hour, for those that don't know, trying to get our audio video together for this podcast this morning. And Jill was so calm, cool, and collected as we went through it. We can do that more.
Mhm.
Just that's what I think is available to the world, Jill. And I want you to help by being who you are so that more people can see, oh, yes, I can do that the way Jill is
Mhm.
living.
Right. Well, I mean, what a beautiful compliment. I mean, that's amazing to be, if that's my legacy, like amazing. And
Well, I've now decided that is your legacy. I have
We've
anointed you.
anointed you.
I'll
Literally,
take
think
it.
about take it and own it and be proud of that legacy that for the world, you have a large platform. Let people hear, watch, and see and go, I could be like her. I could be my own version wherever they are, while they're rushing, New York City specific, where they're rushing through the world, they could stop and go, oh my God, go ahead, sir. Take that seat.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it's also though I'm very blessed. I mean, I have, a job that allows me to make a really
Mhm.
nice living and I was able to get the best care and I guess like my heart
Mhm.
always hurts every day.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that it's not like that in so
yeah.
part of the money that I'm raising for, when I am on this Monday is that like for the cold capping that help save my hair during chemo. They give that for free at Mount Sinai. Um, and so that's really important to me because
Can we put that link in our show notes somewhere that
Sure.
people who are going to watch this podcast, and I will contribute to it because I like to, but anybody who wants to, the bazillions of people who will watch this go, you know what? I'm going to contribute to that. We'll do some very concrete good.
Can you
eh,
elaborate on it, Jill, for our listeners?
no, I mean I yeah, I guess the bigger thing is if and I don't know when this is airing, but do you know when this is airing?
It'll be 3 weeks, we think.
Okay. So 3 weeks were like in December and
Mhm.
I'm on vacation in St.
Mhm.
Bart's, which is nice with my
Mhm.
family. So I'll but Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is it really isn't about um raising money right now.
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
biggest thing is like I guess I just more want everyone to do the right thing more.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely.
Period.
Be the
I mean,
best self.
just that. Be our best selves. Do the right thing more. Just
Mhm.
if we stopped and dropped the mic and said, "What more is that?" And if people quote don't know what the right thing is, we'll pause for about 30 seconds. If that 3 seconds ago, oh, I know what the right thing is. It's what my mom
Mhm.
told me. It's what my dad told me. It's what
Or
you
like
know.
you ask somebody who you think does the right thing, you know?
Mhm.
It's very like when I don't know the answer to something, I go to the best person who I think has the most knowledge in that specific area to get the answer. And
Mhm.
then they fill it in. Pat Riley taught me that. He said, I'm not the smartest, but the things I don't know, and for those who don't know, Pat Riley is a basketball legend. He was my first boss in Miami Heat. He
Mhm.
said, for the things I don't know, I fill in with the best people. I'm not threatened. I fill it in with the best people.
Mhm. Did you have to flip a switch for yourself to have the positive attitude and realize it was going to take some effort to just be your best self every day with your diagnosis? Or did that just come because you've been practicing that
No, I
already?
mean, it's every day I wake up
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it's a fork in the road. Like
Mhm.
today I woke up and I have to do yoga because of the radiation.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, oh, I don't feel like it. And then I just thought my yoga teacher just lost her mother. And like, how could I cancel on her when I could give her positive energy through the screen,
Mhm.
through
Mm,
virtual? So
mm,
I got up. But every day is a choice. I mean, no one would blame me for pulling the covers up over my head every day right now
Mhm.
after what
mhm.
I've been through
Mhm.
and the divorce, and
Mhm.
no one would blame me. So I feel like every day I feel like I'm out of tears, but I cry like, not like
Mhm.
this, but I cry every day.
What's so beautiful is that authentic vulnerability is one of the
Mhm.
heliotropic qualities of human beings. People love to be around people who are all these qualities, virtuous
Mhm.
Or
behavior. But authentic vulnerability is just makes people love to be around you, Jill. So I want you to know that your tears are delightful. Just keep
yeah,
Mhm.
that
well,
in mind.
I don't
I
do
know.
it for
Oh, I
that,
know.
but but I uh appreciate that because it makes the work worth it.
Mhm. Well, and our producer, Ashley, she was telling us this morning that her stepmother was so excited to hear this episode with you because she knows you from the Today Show and the shopping segments and said that you are very authentic and real and warm and you just ooze out of the screen. So it's not just us. I mean, that's obviously what you're putting.
Thank you, Ashley.
It's good to know that. Yeah, it's good to know viewers are seeing that same vulnerability that we're seeing now. And
I mean,
I love
I know that because I know they buy what I say, and I
it's
take
true.
that super seriously.
Yep.
I have a
Mhm.
very high conversion rate, and the reason I do is because if I make a mistake, I say I'm sorry. If a product
Hmm.
isn't right and I thought it was, like, I'm allowed to make mistakes. I mean,
Hmm.
my doctors are allowed to make mistakes. My doctor,
Hmm.
there was a doctor, and I feel for her who I would never name, but missed it on the sonogram. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not her fault. A sonogram is a snapshot. It's like watching a movie and only taking 10 pictures. It's just a snapshot of, they scan around and they take 10
Hmm.
pictures. Which
I'm
page are
holding
you
up
on?
I'm holding up a book that says "Apologize Well."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of
I
those,
like that actually.
when we make a boo-boo, you know?
I read it when you first sent it to me, so I'm a little I haven't been home in so long, so
Don't worry.
I would have reread it before this, but I'm like I'm running on empty. But I remember that because I used to say like I made mistakes in like Jill 1.0, the prior life, and and I would not forgive myself. And then I read this Don Miguel Ruiz. I don't know, is that
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and he says like you could apologize either to the person if you can, and if you can't, to yourself, and then like in my version of the words, moveon.com. Like,
M m
Yep.
move
you
moveon.com. Love that.
like apologize, and I forgive myself for those mistakes. But if I make them again, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but I really don't like, when somebody says, um, it's really, you know what you're doing most of the time. At least I do.
Mhm.
And so I think if everyone just like takes a step back, and I'm not like coming from, believe me, like an almighty higher than thou, because like I'm not crushing it. Like I'm in pajamas every day and in tears, but I do feel like sometimes, hitting safe draft and proverbially and
Mhm.
just being like, okay, what's the situation here? What do I need to do here? Even just like if someone cuts you off in the street, just that moment of what do I do here? Do I
Mhm.
yell or is that person in a rush because they're having a terrible day and their kids? I don't know. That's where my mind goes.
Jill,
Yeah.
that's our work. What you just said is the whole thing, which is when someone cuts you off in the street in that moment, and they will, what's our responsibility in that moment? Because we all know what the right thing to do is, and then we got to do it. And that alone is a job that I can get excited about for the rest of my life. Because when I don't do it, I'm like, oh, come on, Harry, you got this. You got this.
Well, the other
I,
reminder Jill said, I mean, you're at a crossroads every day and people
Mhm.
don't see that. They just see the choices you make. And I think a lot of people wake up in the morning and feel like they also have the right to pull their covers over their head because of what's happening and that people just need to
Plenty
understand.
of
And
people.
yeah,
Plenty.
plenty of people. And what you're saying is it's okay. You're not judging, but there is another way. And I think that Harry and I feel like we learn from each one of our guests, and we do this, and not just this work, but some of the other work we do because it makes us better people. And that's
Yeah,
a reminder that I will take away to say, "Yep,
thank
crossroads. What are you going to choose?" And make it very visual and very impactful for the day. And I think we can choose the right way, and that's what this practice is all about. So
Y-
thank
thank
you.
you for that.
You're going to feel uncomfortable too. That I love that we got to know you, that we have this time together. You have helped me from this conversation more than you will ever know.
Well,
You're special. You
thank
are.
you.
Yeah. I think this is, we've seen it in the work you've done prior to today, and then we've been able to experience it today. I think there's, because I'm caught up partly in this, what you're doing and the impact you're making on people. You mentioned something about cold capping that I know nothing about. And so
Oh,
again, I'm seeing some of this is going to be a little bit of a PSA for our listeners because of all of the awareness that you're driving. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
yeah. So it's interesting when I got diagnosed and it was a process, like cancers, you go for the double mastectomy. And when you wake up, they tell you if you're going to need chemo. Like, could you
No,
imagine you just had
no.
a double mastectomy? And I woke up and they said it was in a lymph node. And, you look at Google American Cancer Society
Right.
and like you just fit, it's like the tumor is a certain size. All I didn't want was chemo. But part of the thing about chemo and this is really important is that my surgeon said to me, chemo is your friend. You need someone in a hazmat suit with something called the Red Devil to fight with you. And so once she told me that, it was a very different narrative walking in there. I felt safer than I felt like I was being attacked, as much pain, physical pain, and torture I was in. But one of the really terrible parts about it is your dignity and
Mm,
I was known for being a pretty girl, whatever that means. Like people would
right.
say she's a pretty, and I would say thank you, even though at the time I didn't think that. And I look back and I think, wow,
Mm,
she was so pretty. Like, too bad you didn't know how pretty
mm.
you were.
Well, let me just say when I met you for the first time, I said to my wife, "She's gorgeous."
Oh,
Gorgeous.
Now,
Yeah.
no. I mean, like I didn't know you before, so I
thank
didn't
you.
know were you more gorgeous. But I said to Jan, "She's gorgeous," and so for what that's worth, I always say people, like that's not very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It's interesting. I lost everything, my eyebrows, my eyelashes, my hair. So thank God I had worked on myself and had the, bravery and the audacity to keep going because it was audacity to go on TV and have the paint in my eyebrows. And I had no eyelashes. So they had to like glue that would last for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, but I forgot the point I was trying to
That's okay.
make before.
We were getting towards cold capping only because I want people to
Oh,
know
cold
the
cap.
availability.
So
Yeah.
part of the horrible part of chemo is in most cases, especially I was under the most aggressive regimen, the ACT, you lose your hair. And it's just, there's no two ways about it. I was like, my hair will hang in there. It's the strongest hair. I mean, So there's a process called cold capping, which, let's say the chemo is an hour and a half to 3 hours. You have to sit 4 hours before with negative 25-degree ice on your head that they change, in my case, every 20 minutes. Sometimes it's machine. There's different levels. I used Penguin because I had a capper come in and do it because I didn't want to put that at the time on my family or husband. And every 25 minutes they wrap your head and it freezes the follicle so that when you stop treatment, instead of having to start all over, it will grow. So if I had a cold capped, I'd probably have an inch of hair by now. The people who I went through with at the same time, they have sort of like spiky, gorgeous. They look amazing, but like Harry's hair.
Yeah.
That's the kind of hair I would have right now. But I cold capped, and so then I took oral minoxidil, and I used, I did a lot of Latisse, to get my eyelashes back. That was exciting when they came back. And so the cold cap really helped. And now, it's a cute haircut.
It's super cute.
Not like what, I had hair like Ashley down to my like waist. So, but it's cute. It's different. I just have to get used to her,
Yeah.
What helped you get used to all it? Because you do talk about it. I mean, it's so much of our identity is in our looks, whether it's, the things we're known for.
I mean, when people used to say, don't worry, it'll grow back. I'm like, don't say that.
Right.
Because I'm allowed to hold both things. I'm allowed to want to be healthy and not have cancer and not die. And I'm also allowed to want to look like myself and have my hair. I'm allowed to have both. You're allowed to love somebody and think that they're amazing and fun and all those things. And also they not be right for you. You can hold opposing feelings at the same time. And it happens all the time. And that's okay. And so I will never say it'll grow back. I say, listen, it's 12 hours of torture. If you could sit there and do it, like my surgeon said to me, sit in the chair and wear the hat. And I did. And it was horrible. But now it's not. And so I will never tell anyone it's not horrible. It is.
Right.
But in the end, it was important to me because now, I actually had a cut the other day to even it out, which felt good.
Well, I like the way you reframed and personified chemo. And I think that was an interesting
beautiful,
way.
beautiful, beautiful metaphor, story, way of thinking, reframing. And I think all of us can look for those opportunities for ourselves, reframing things to look at it differently to help us, i.e., you want that hazmat suit brother inside you fighting the cancer with you. Such a beautiful thing. But also for others, because we can learn what to say and what not to say. And I'm learning what to say and what not to say as other people go through difficulties of all kinds, whether they be death, Alzheimer's, cancer,
any kind of trauma.
Any kind. And
it doesn't have to be cancer. I hope it's not. I always say that people say, I threw my back out. I didn't want to tell you. I'm like, I don't want you to have cancer. If your back hurts, like, of course, tell me. I mean, just because you don't have cancer, that I don't want anyone to have cancer ever again. I mean, so trauma is trauma, though. A loss of a parent, a loss of a dog, a loss of a job. I mean, a loss of a guy you liked who broke up with you. Trauma is trauma.
Trauma is trauma. And we as brothers and sisters and colleagues and friends and perfect strangers can be our best selves better at this in saying the sweet, wonderful, nice things and not you'll get over it. My friend had it. It'll be fine. All those things that
You're tough.
All of the things that you don't know, you shouldn't say that. That's not helpful.
Right. But also it's like, I always say when friends say to me, like, this person said this, I'm like, they don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. So also just like say, normally when I start talking to someone, I'll sort of bring it up so they don't have to, because I think they don't know how to bring it up. So there's also that other part of like, people just don't know what to say. And honestly, I wish I didn't know what to say. Like even I have a friend who the prognosis is not good. I mean, they did everything and it's not working. And so we talk every day. Imagine those conversations. It's not going to be okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And I am the most comforting person to her because, like, what do you say? There's nothing to say except to cry and to say, what are we going to do with the time? And I mean, it's horrible. It's torture.
But what you're saying is what we're to do. You say, what do?
Yep.
We do what you just articulated, which is you sit with the sister, you sit with your friend. And I mean, we know that we can do that. We can sit with people. We can be with people.
You could show up.
You can
Yep.
show up. Perfect.
But
I don't know what
my
to
dad's
say.
number one thing. If you show up, like
Yep.
my dad is at everything. They show up. Any cousin who has a thing, he's like, I'm driving to Maryland for 2 hours. Like there's just, you could show up.
Mhm.
You could work hard. Like those are
Mhm.
things that I can't excuse.
Yep.
There
Love
are
it.
things that aren't under your control.
Yep.
That's right.
And
But
being
we could show up.
uncomfortable is not enough of an excuse. You
Mhm.
still show up.
Mhm.
I
I love
mean,
this.
yeah.
This is
Yeah, being uncomfortable is the key to life. I mean, you grow and you're uncomfortable.
Well, speaking of comfort, I want to make sure we plug the Sherpas in your line that you have. So I want to talk a little bit about that because when we talked to Will Guidera, I don't know if you know Will, but he talked about his little girl and her new thing was, Dad, let's get warm and cozy. And every time I look at the screen and see you in your Sherpa, you feel so
Yeah, I
warm.
mean, I'll show you all the different ones. I travel with like 10 in a bag. Let's see. Oh, I did one for
The
the
rat cats.
So what I did was I had a blanket company that I sold like hundreds of thousands of units on in QVC. And as I got older, I'm like, I want to be in a blanket all the time. So I sat on the floor and I took my two best blanket fabrications with my manufacturer and I created like a chic jacket. And then over the years it evolved. She, the viewer, wanted a button. So we added the button. I always had the thumb holes because I love those.
Yes.
You don't want them. And then it has pockets. It's machine washable. Don't put it in the dryer. And my slogan is, if you don't buy it, you're wrong. Like it's just the best. It's my winter jacket. Like it's everything. I sleep in it. I machine wash it. I mean, I walk around in it, and I have all different ones now. I'm cropping them and I'm putting logos on them. I'll show you some of them. Hold on. I have a few here as I trip over the light. But hold on. I'm going back.
No problem.
when I walked into my restaurant, the Black Pearl. I want you to know that four of my staff people said, "Where can I get one? And can we get one with the Black Pearl logo?"
Yeah, you know what? We're doing a bunch of restaurants now. We have to. I said I was going to do that. I got so
Yep.
crazy, and
Great.
I have
Great.
to make Peter the blue house. Our
Yeah.
from Peter.
Great.
So
We'll do
these are-
that.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it. So this is our short one that we did for breast cancer. We did a cozy couture version with the Knix logo in pink, and we raised $50,000. We sold 100 of them. And then, this is the white one we did. And then I have the Rockettes one on. There's one with a bow, all the teams. And yeah, they're half off. I don't know when this airs if they'll still be left, but they're half off on my site right now. And they've been named to, every list as they should be. When people say like, are you so excited? I'm like, yeah, I worked, 48 years on this one item. And so it deserves to be on every list because it's the best item. And
The only one we
if
need-
it doesn't work, the best item with the best IP, with the person who I believe is the best salesperson because I only sell things I believe in, at least to me. I'm like, then I have to just rejigger my whole life. If this doesn't work, I'm at a loss,
And remember, if you don't buy one, you're just wrong. So,
Oh, that's what I say.
I know. And the only complaint we have about them is we don't have one for the Detroit Lions, who are killing it this season.
You know what?
It's gonna be cold tonight.
I know. And I've asked the Lions or NFL. Yeah.
Yes.
I've asked. I have the Giants license. And we'll put a little PSA out. We'll clip this and I'll send it to him.
Oh,
saying,
let's get
people
that
are
done.
asking for it again.
Yes.
So they haven't given me the full license yet, but they're considering it. So maybe we'll send this to him. Well, Ashley, if you could clip this for me. Another request from Connie and from all the
Connie and Ashley, we're all want
and
one.
you guys are like the big ticket in Michigan. You're like in the in crowd in Michigan. Because I met you through I met you through a friend that I've had since college who threw the best parties in college and continues to throw the best parties. I'm like, you're still doing this?
Yes.
Still tailgating?
This particular fellow purchased 2 houses across from the big house, the Michigan Stadium, which he literally hosts parties at every single home game. And they're always packed with very interesting people, but I won't name drop.
Well, for our listeners'
but like
benefit,
anybody who you would think is, and he is, and he's so nice and gracious.
Yes,
he's such a beautiful human being, also, and fun. So that I like too. I love fun. I mean, I'm looking for a good time.
And the store
But
link's going to be in our show notes too, Jill. So we'll make
Okay,
sure
good.
that we're staying because our listeners are now chomping at the bit because they can't see what we're talking about and what
right,
we're bragging about.
we'll pass that on. So thank you. We always like to end these podcasts with who in your life has been the exemplar for you, the heliotropic model. You can say more than one who's really helped you be the most wonderful person that you
It's
are.
funny, it sounds like it's my mom and dad, but when I first read, when I Googled to see what it means, like what not just what you say it means, but what it means,
Hmm. Hmm.
because I didn't know. I thought of myself, and that was like really, really powerful for me
Mhm.
because I was always so hard on myself, and I'm like so sorry that I was.
Oh,
So
oh, oh,
If we could tell our
oh.
younger selves so many
Oh,
things.
I
Yeah.
wish we could tell our younger selves what you just said, which is, would you please honor the gift that you are now? Because you are that. You don't need to do anything more than be who you are. More of that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So, but my mom and dad, I mean, like, what amazing
Yeah.
human beings.
Mhm.
And like, they're up for brunch or battery, like, whatever I need, they're there. Like, I'm like, we like this person. My mom still, like, I asked about this guy that I dated in high school the other day, and she was like, I mean, you would think that it happened 5 minutes ago. It happened 25 years ago. She still holds a grudge.
Oh, Connie, anything you want to ask
No,
or say?
I've enjoyed this so much. You've given the
Me too.
perspective and, the fact that you came on willing to do this on a day off. And I love that you're your super, super authentic self. And I feel like I got to know you even though we're doing this via Zoom. So thank you for
Me
all of
too.
that.
No, thank you. And thank you for dealing with our technical issues. And I'll be down there.
When?
Ashley, nice meeting you. And Harry, I'll be down. I'm doing a
When?
bunch of events for Michigan Medicine. I'll
When?
be down in the spring.
In the spring. Great.
Yeah.
Um, Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, we'll be in touch. I'm going to
Yeah,
just
we'll be
keep.
in touch.
We're going to stay connected.
Yeah.
You know,
And thank you.
yeah,
Thank you
thank you
so
very much.
much.
And no, I think everything you said, Harry, just rings true. It's been a true pleasure, Jill. So thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. This was beautiful and educational for me too, and learned a lot as well. So, and thank you for letting me have my daily cry with you.
We're glad we could share it with you.
I so love having met you. Thank you. Bye, Joe. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.